Hi, everyone. It is truly my pleasure to introduce you to honestly one of my favorite people. When we met, it was synergy just like this, and I know you'll feel exactly the same. His name is Kerry Rose, and he is my partner down in Nevada City. But he has also traveled from where many of you I know are from or very familiar with. Grew up in Marin, specifically Mill Valley, and then made the leap to Nevada City, which I know many of you do when you come up to Tahoe. You make that leap. It's a big jump from a totally different type of lifestyle. So I think you will all just fall in love with Carrie just as much as I have. And without further ado, Carrie, tell us a little bit about growing up in Mill Valley. What are some of the things that you really loved there and brought you into doing real estate?
Oh, fascinating. Thank you. Nice to be here. Growing up in Mill Valley is kind of magical. I mean, back in the time when I was a child, which is many years ago, uh, it's just a beautiful place. It's just north of San Francisco, but there's a ton of protected open space there. So there's a lot of nature. You're by the ocean, but you have a nice mountain, Mount Tamalpais there. So there's parks, there's a state park, there's a lot of open space, there's a lot of nature. But then back in the day when we didn't really have too much traffic, you could be in San Francisco in like 15 minutes. So you had exposure to culture and the arts and the whole urban vibe and obviously, the famous Summer of Love and all the 60s and the 70s that happened in the Bay Area, a lot of cool stuff.
Sure.
That pushed up into Marin County. So there's a lot of rock stars hiding out in the woods. There's just a general culture, sort of progressive culture that was happening there, and that's the time I grew up in. So really.
So it sounds like you really love like all the nature and everything about that area. Everything that you mentioned, I really kind of see why people come to both Tahoe and Nevada City for those same things, like the river, the lakes, the mountains, the trails. So what made you take that leap from Mill Valley, which obviously has some of that, and your passion and your love and a place that you grew up? What made you kind of spread your wings over to Nevada City?
Yeah, thank you. Um, you know, we had my wife's parents, my in-laws, had some best friends from when they went to school at Cal Berkeley, and they had built a house up here like over 20 years ago. So we started visiting them sort of on a regular basis, and then as we had young kids, and so we were kind of broke, and so the staycation option was like the best option for us, and they had a nice cabin. They lived on the creek, not far from town. So we started coming up here over 20 years ago and fell in love with it. And then, strangely enough, it turns out I had come up even past Nevada City in the foothills, past the little town of Washington, where some friends of ours down in Marin, they owned this property called the Arctic Mine, which was just up on the Yuba, the middle
Love the
fork of the
Yuba.
Yuba.
Yeah.
And I had spent some time up there too, and only kind of realized that once I came up here that you see the big granite, you see the water, and all of a sudden I had this huge flashback. So I've been coming to this area for quite a while. We even looked at buying, either just a piece of land to camp on or a second home. Then, so we were familiar with the area, long story short. And then, as we all know, COVID happened, and I was living in Mill Valley, sort of for my second round of Mill Valley. I moved from West Marin to Mill Valley, and I think between my wife and I, and even my daughter who was in high school at the time, we were just sort of open to the idea of a change, moving away from the urban area, obviously take advantage of some sweat equity and other things in our property, and just really for the lifestyle. And, as referencing the whole Marin County idea, it's like there's everything here that I loved about the early days in the Bay Area, which was tons of
Sure.
nature,
Yeah.
very peaceful, really nice people. I mean, I can't say enough about the community. But then access to culture. I can be in Sacramento in an hour. I can come see you, and up in Truckee, I can in an hour. It's a quick drive up Highway 20, and there's a great music scene here. The food scene is progressing. It's a progressive community for the most part, although it's deeply purple here politically. But that's people really value what's here, regardless of who they voted for. And so there is this really strong sense of people collaborating to make life here and to get along and to help each other out.
It sounds like people aren't only coming for the outdoors there, they're also really drawn to the culture for that area. And that's also sounds like that's the whole reason why you're there. Is that the type of clientele that you really see? Also, do you have a lot of people that you've known from Mill Valley or that are some of your clientele that are now also making that leap to Nevada City?
It's a great question. It's kind of a mix. I would say early on, clients were people similar to me and my family, like wanting to get out of either the Bay Area or other urban areas, but wanting access, maybe to more of the Tahoe or the foothills lifestyle, but maybe at an easier price point and a little,
Sure.
a little quieter. We're sort of off the beaten path here. You have to make an effort to come.
That's what I
Although we
love
did
about
just
it.
get
Yeah.
ranked one of the top 10 cities in the U.S. I
Wow.
can't remember who did that. I'll have to find the resource, but that's. And then all the people they interviewed for the TV segment were like, "I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised." And so the people who are here really know what the value is of being here. Now, only sort of more recently, sort of in that as the COVID wave sort of subsides, is people, family and friends. I helped my wife's cousin buy a house just down the street from us, and then I've another person from more of an intimate, extended family circle. They come and visit, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like what do you have here? This is
Yeah.
amazing." And so I think there's this almost accidental evangelism for this community that I'm involved with. That's people are realizing again who this lifestyle appeals to,
Sure.
are amazed at what's available here.
Yeah. It sounds very similar to the stories that I really feel here, where people, when they come here and they spend some time in the peacefulness and the outdoors, they reconnect with themselves. They really have that feeling where they recognize that they've been going so much with also the to-do list that I'm very familiar with. But here, when I step outside every night and I look at the stars and we go on our walk together, I come back into my body. And that is something that became a non-negotiable to me anymore. And so it sounds like that's also the same type of thing as like when people come to Nevada City. I always, and I'll have you share a little bit, but I love the music. I used to always come down and do all the street fairs and really see people. They all knew each other. There was this sense of community that I didn't find when I was going to Berkeley or when I was going to work in the city. It was just much more straightforward and very structured. So when I went there, it was like I got to like reconnect with people and then once again back to myself.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that's also the same, type of culture that you're really seeing happen with the people that are making that leap there. And in a price point, it sounds like that people can do for their second home and really make that work. But I am going to call you out on something that I do know is one of your superpowers, which is new construction, remodeling. So tell us a little bit about, your superpower.
Thank you. I kind of keep it on the down low a little bit, but it's actually a conversation I have with family, friends, and prospective clients. Particularly on the buying side of things. Even first-time home buyers are attracted here. One of the questions when I ask, whether it's a couple or an individual, I say, "How handy are you?" Because as you well know, you want to buy the crummiest house in the best neighborhood. That's one of the famous real estate strategies. And many people, particularly a first-time buyer, may not be able to afford to buy the house they grew up in, right? And so you're gonna have some version of a fixer ahead of you. I jokingly say my wife and I are remodelaholics.
Yep.
Because we're both, handy enough to be dangerous, and
Yeah.
we both have a decent design eye and a reasonable amount of imagination. And the rest of it is just stuff you learn. I mean, I can't think of the number of tradespeople who I've, paid them way too much money because I waste their time hanging out with them and talking to them instead of letting them do the work I've hired them to do. But that's the cost of education, I'm like, oh, that's how you do that, and that's how you do that. And again, to be just a student of whatever, homes and construction, how they're made, and obviously real estate, we have to know enough to know, what's functional and that kind of stuff, but more to the point of, I just, that's one of the reasons I love real estate. I love people and I love property. And I guess the third P, just to be silly, is the potential. I love seeing the potential in a property and whatever it is, whether it's a raw piece of land or a large luxury property or anything in between. I love seeing things sort of optimized and made as best as they can be. And again, that's for, you dropped into this other thing about like being in your body or being relaxed, and you think about what the function of home should be, ideally. Not always, but ideally, it's a place you find sanctuary, a place you find beauty, a place you feel calm and restored and refreshed and safe, right? And so part of it, some of it's visual and cosmetic, and some of it's functional. And so without going into a lot of detail about that, I would just say I found myself really excited about it. Yeah. And very eager to just learn more about it. Sure. And then being somewhat technically minded, I felt like I could grasp stuff really clearly, and why you need this kind of joint or this lumber or these materials. And it's endlessly fascinating to me. And we actually, being alive at this time, despite some of the other things that are going on in the world, there's amazing evolution of building practices and construction technology, and I think there's an amazing opportunity now to sort of reinvent either how we rehabilitate or restore or renovate or remodel properties, in addition to how we construct them in the first place. And that's really exciting to me. So anyway, I could go on and on about that.
I know. Well, that's what I love. I love about you is that we can have these conversations, and I can really feel your energy, and I believe that your clients feel the same thing. Like you are an authentically excited person about these homes and renovations and opportunities, and empowering the people that you work with start to open those doors and just say, yes, there is a way, however that works for you, let's find that way to make that happen. And you live and breathe it, and that excitement comes through, and your professionalism is, of course, beyond. So I'm so excited to, be able to send more people your way also. Tell us one of your favorite things to do in Nevada City.
Oh man. Okay.
Hardest question ever.
It is, because there's so many. Actually, you're funny because you're touching on a topic that my wife loves to make fun of me, because I'll go, oh my God, that's like one of my favorite things. She goes, honey, you have like 387 favorite things. And I'm like, I know. Did anybody say there's a limit to how many favorite things you can have? I have many, many favorites, whether it's food or music or anything. Gosh, let me just take a quick moment. I mean, I'm very blessed. I mean, I was able to score a property that's very idyllic in a way. And so I'm close to town. I can walk into town and go meet someone for coffee in about 10 minutes. I have amazing neighbors who show movies in their driveway and have parties. I live near this really beautiful trail that a lot of people who visit or live here take their dogs or go for walks and runs. I have some beautiful piece of creek that flows like right alongside my property that's year round. So one of my favorite things is literally, particularly in the summertime, is to punch the clock around say 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, grab some beverages, put my phone away, and go just sit by the creek and just be in nature. That said, back to the community idea. I mean, just wandering into town and just running into people and having conversations. I literally just came from a meeting with a friend, a colleague. He works a lot in the technology space for his clients, but we were talking about how it's so often, particularly here in the United States and particularly here in California and in sort of the areas we live in, that there's sort of this a material, let's call it material abundance, right? We have good water, we have good food, we have decent roads, we have reasonable internet, we have all these material things. But the thing I noticed traveling both recently and in Asia, and also even back in the early 2000s for work in Europe, is that maybe other places don't have the material abundance, but they have this sort of I know to call it this human abundance or this
Mhm.
abundance of a
Mhm.
sense of time
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
quality of time that you spend
Mhm.
both with yourself and with other people.
Mhm.
And what I do love about this community in this physical place, never mind the the beauty of the nature and the water and the trees and the animals and the rocks and the sky and the air and all these amazing things, is there's amazing people here
Sure.
who want to share their time and their energy with you. And so you can just wander into town, run into people you know or don't know, have a nice conversation, find some strange connection, whether it's with work or your hobbies and whatever. And
Yeah.
to me, that's what makes life really yummy is connecting with people, sharing
Mhm.
passions, being genuinely interested in and caring about one another. And that's
Mhm.
again, that's why I love going back to the whole who did you vote for? It doesn't matter. How can I help you? What can we do to support each other and
Mhm.
create this really wonderful community?
Very like present in their bodies, present in their time, present in the connection, and also present in what I hear from you, like receiving, being quiet and receiving that information that I think is now kind of coming back. It was a lost art, I think, for a while of just having quiet and being okay to receive. So that's what I really love to hear from you as well. But how do people get to receive you, Kerry? How do we see you? How do we figure out where you are? You know, are you in nature? You know, I don't want to always text you to make sure, you know, make sure that you have your own space and time. So how do I knock on your door?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not too hard to find me. I mean,
Yeah.
that part of this job is I'm pretty public. That's why I get a lot of like spam texts and voicemail.
Sure,
You can
sure.
go to my website at therosegroup.co. You can go to my other website, kerryrosehomes.com. You can just do a Google search on Kerry Rose Compass. It's very easy to find me, and in some ways too easy. And because I live near my office downtown, like if I'm not at my
Love it,
office,
love
you
it,
can
love it.
text me or
Yeah.
call me. I can meet you in about 5 minutes, assuming I'm not doing something else like, raking the leaves or I'm in a Zoom call like this one or what have you, right? So
Sure.
I'm pretty accessible. And the town's really small. So again, if you're nearby and you give me enough notice, I'll just come and meet you wherever you are. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing a little piece of yourself with us. And I also love that we are going to be able to continue to co-collaborate and bridge the gap between, Marin, Mill Valley, Nevada City, Grass Valley, Tahoe, Incline, and just make this whole entire area be able to be encompassed from people like us that absolutely love what we do and love the people that we work with and love making magic.
thank
So,
you. Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye.